Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Mover Masterclass. This one's called How to Find More Customers with Google Ads. I'm delighted to be joined by Matt and Dan from MoversBoost. So Matt and Dan have been working with business owners for over 12 years, helping them to grow their online presence on search engines like Google and Bing. They specialize in helping moving company owners to grow quickly by using Google ad techniques that work especially well in the moving industry. So this is going to be a really awesome session. Super excited about it. I think it'll be really, really helpful if you want to find more customers and grow your moving company. So I will pass it over to Dan and Matt, and looking forward to what you guys have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. So thanks to you and the OnQ team for having us on here. Really appreciate it. So super excited to be talking to you guys today about how to improve your moving company lead flow through Google Ads specifically, because this is one of those things that can either make or break a business. A lot of people, Matt, as you know, come to us and they've been overspending and not being able to track conversions. They don't know what's going on in that account. And, they think Google Ads doesn't work. So we're going to talk to you today about, how to get Google Ads to work for you and some very important key components of that you need to ensure are being done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So the way this is going to work, guys, is I'm going to go over primarily Google remarketing, and I'll explain why. And then Matt is going to come in at the end and talk about ways to accelerate that even more through discovery search terms. All right, so grab my screen here. All right, great. So you guys should be seeing my screen right now. And if you're not familiar with remarketing, retargeting, essentially semantics at this point, but what it means is a prospect, a potential customer comes to your website. They land on your website somehow, some way, could be organically through search, could be through Google Ads, could be anything, could be direct. But what happens? More often than not, they are shopping around and they will not buy on that first visit to your website. So you can either follow them around the internet, like you probably have seen happen, where you land on one website, next thing you know, you're seeing that business appear everywhere. That's called remarketing, retargeting. And it's extremely important to do this because if you're spending money on Google Ads, you want to make sure you're squeezing all of that value out of there. You're already spending the money on, if you're trying to target local search terms like, piano movers, for example. If someone lands on my website searching for piano movers and, they don't call right then and there, they don't submit the web form submission, right? They might just do that a few other times. And the one guy who is retargeting and they see his ad or her ad, they're going to call, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing this first and foremost, guys. So remarketing, very important. So what I'm going to do, and let me show you this. So everyone on the call today is actually going to get a copy of this. This is our checklist that we use in our agency, MoversBoost, for all of our clients. And this is the component of Google remarketing. So everyone on the call is going to get a copy of this. We'll give the link out at the end of it. I'm going to go through some highlights here because we don't have a whole lot of time for this call. So I want to make sure that you walk away with this with an understanding of how to set up remarketing and the value of it. All right, so let's go and look at some of these key points. So I'm going to go into, I'm not going to go over putting the ads tracking tag on there because that's fairly straightforward and you can follow this checklist along. If at any point during this, guys, you feel like you're a little confused with something, trust me, this checklist is going to help you get through that after the call. So audiences are extremely important. This would be building essentially a list of people who land on your website, but don't take any action that you want. They didn't call you, they didn't submit a form. We can actually pixel them, it's called pixeling them, and follow them around the internet. It's part of the whole remarketing play here. Now, one of the things that is extremely important with building the audiences that I like to do is build them on timeframes. It's a little more advanced, but just so you understand the rationale behind it. Someone who visits your site and I follow them around for the first 7 days is a way hotter lead than someone between 8 and let's say 30 days, and then 31 and 60 days. So you can see as they expand beyond the window, beyond when they first initially landed on my website, they get colder and colder. All right, so we can do some creative things to essentially bid higher on a closer time frame, and that improves your ROI. So that's a little bit more of an advanced technique, but I want you to be aware of it. All right, so let me go over to these campaigns here. So what you're looking at is a display campaign So GDN stands for Google Display Network. And this is a way that we can retarget people around a combination of images and some text. Now, in terms of setting your daily budget, I like to use the formula of around 10% of whatever I'm spending on search. So if I'm spending, let's say $1,000 on keyword terms in Google Ads, so Google search ad campaigns, like I mentioned earlier, maybe I'm bidding on things like piano movers or local movers near me, anything like that, right? If I'm spending $1,000 a month, that means I want to spend about $100 a month on Google Ads, which is about $3 to $4 per day. So you can kind of tweak the math based on that. That's not a hard and fast rule, but without overthinking it, that essentially is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. All right, so let's go into this campaign. And you can see we have one ad group here. In this particular case, we're still building out this campaign. So this one's 90-day retargeting. I usually start with 90 days because that is kind of the window. I'm sure you guys, as moving company owners on this call, can appreciate people who are searching for moving. They're not typically looking beyond that window. It does happen from time to time, but this would be the primary window of when you really want to capitalize on that. And you could go even more narrow, like I said, within a 60-day window, a 30-day window, and then you can essentially look at and split test which campaigns are working the best for you. All right, so that's one technique to do. What I want to do now is show you the audiences. So let me pull this up. Excuse me. On my tab here. So under Tools and Settings, and we have Audience Manager. So open that up. And I just want to show you quickly how you would create a new audience. So let me share this back over here. So over here under, you would add, and you go to website visitors. And this is where you would name the segment. And I like to name, like I said, using the days that we'll be targeting them. So let's say this is a 30-day. And the rule group essentially means what action should put them on this list. So I'll just do something very simple. Visitors of a page, and the page URL just has to contain, and then this would be your website. So I'll just put your website.com. And you don't want to put anything longer than you have to. You don't even need to put the .com technically. Let's say you were Stan's Moving. I would just put that, okay? And down here under pre-fill options, you can leave that at 30 days. That's the most it'll let you do. But here under membership duration is where you want to adjust this. So by default, it's 30 day, but let's say I was doing 7-day window here. Then I want to come down here and I want to make that a 7-day duration. Okay, you don't need to fill out the description unless you want to, if you find that helpful. And then you would create the segment. That means that I can now target my ads to only people who are within a 7-day window of visiting my website. And we would exclude people who actually were a conversion, and more on that in a little bit. All right, so hopefully that's clear for everyone here. Let's see, I want to highlight a few key things that a lot of people overlook. And one of them would be, let me see, go to placements here. So under placements, I want to go to exclusions. All right, this is really important, and most people, agencies alike, don't do this. We are going to exclude all of the apps. People playing video games. I don't need someone finding my ad if they're playing Angry Birds. That is a very low conversion window very low conversion probability that someone playing a game is going to tap on that and then convert. Usually those clicks, more often than not, are a mistake. Right? People are usually just trying to click around to get on with their app, whatever they're doing. So I exclude all of those. And to do that, you just come over here and click exclude placements. And then you can come down here to app categories and you start checking them all off. All right, so we have app store ones, and I already have a master list. So that's why these aren't selected here. They're selected in another area because we do it for all of our clients. But if you're doing it on an individual basis, you can certainly just do it right here and click all the way down and get rid of all of those as exclusions. And that will help you get the most out of it. We want to make sure we squeeze the most out of the budget here. All right. So that's one little tip. Another one I want to show you would be locations. All right. Certainly make sure that when you are targeting a location, you have your area here. Now you can get even more granular with it here. If you are, within a certain city, right? Come in here and just select the actual city like that. Now, there's no harm in selecting more granular. So for example, if I wanted to select all of the cities inside of here, I could do that. It would, there'd be no harm in that because Orlando's in Florida, right? So there's no issue in doing that. Just be aware. The next thing I want to go over is, let's see here. I want to look at settings. So let me go to settings. And I'm going to work my way down this list and go over, again, some more highlights that people often overlook or they forget to do. All right, so I talked about locations. I want to expand locations. And you can see this matches up exactly what we were just talking about. But the other key thing that a lot of people don't do is expand location options. And by default, this first one is selected, which is presence or interest. People in regularly who have shown interest. So that's, at first glance, it seems like, okay, that's not a big deal. But here's the thing. Let's say that you are a moving company in Arizona and someone is constantly interested in things about the Grand Canyon. Google thinks that they are now interested in that area. So potentially, even if they're in New Jersey or Florida or whatever, they could potentially see your ad because Google saw interest for that person. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that they are in or regularly in that target location only. Okay, so that's a good one to ensure that you have set. The presence people, that's a default, so that's where you want to keep that as well. Certainly select the language. For bidding, this gets a little bit more advanced. I prefer doing manual CPC. It gives me a lot more control to decide how I want to spend the budget and how I want to bid that up. There are other ways to do it. For example, if you want to do something like maximize conversions, that's great if you are doing at least, in my opinion, 10 conversions per month, 20 conversions per month with a trailing 3-month history. You want to give Google data. If they don't have that data, you don't want to mess with it. And then even then, I always run these campaigns in parallel to see if I can beat my other campaign. But again, a little more advanced, so let's not worry about that right now. So I want to click on additional settings here. And I always want to make sure ad rotation is on do not optimize, rotate ads indefinitely. A lot of people will tell you, optimize, prefer best performing ads. I don't like that. Because it doesn't give you the control. And I don't find that Google always gets it right. I've often seen them using ads and images that were lower performing, but for whatever reason, they're trying to use them. I will say this, keep in mind that Google is trying to get you to spend as much money as possible. I mean, they still want you to get results, but it's in their best interest for you to spend that money. So sometimes the selections will get you conversions, but at a higher cost per acquisition, right? So I like to have the control. I do rotate them indefinitely, and that will allow me to actually select them. Start and end dates, nothing to do there. Devices, I'd leave pretty open. That's, if you're doing mobile, computer, tablets. Here's one I like to use that a lot of people don't use is frequency management. What this means, and by default, it's the first one here. Let Google dictate this. So I've seen them blow this out crazy. So in other words, if, John Doe is looking at, or he's just crawling the web or searching whatever, and he sees my ad 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 50 times in one day. And I've seen that happen before where it's just like blown out of proportion. I don't want that. So I set the cap. So the number of times, the maximum number of times that someone could actually see the ad for this client is 10 per day. And even you might even say that might be too much. And it very well may be. So you have to find that sweet spot for yourself there. If you think that, 5 is enough, then by all means 5. But I like to give it 10 because, and I think I neglected to mention this earlier, with the importance of remarketing is that on average, it takes about, somewhere between 6 and 9 visits before someone actually becomes a customer. They actually are ready to take the next step and pick up the phone or submit a form, right? Prior to that, they are really just doing a lot of shopping around, visiting websites, leaving them. forgetting about them. So again, that's how we're fixing these leaks. Okay, so that's why it's important to stay in the front of their mind, constantly, be there without annoying them, and make sure that they're not just tire kickers either, because we don't want to spend money on people who have no interest in doing anything. So I like to set the frequency cap around 10. Again, no hard and fast rule on that, but that's essentially what I like to do there. Conversions, I'm not going to get a whole lot into conversion settings. We use an integration between CallRail and with Google form submissions, so we can see, a conversion essentially in terms of tracking would be someone who actually called or someone who submitted a form. And there's more in that in the checklist, so you guys can see that. And again, anyone on this call will be able to get in contact with us for a free consult as well to go over, how you can use this for your business. Content exclusions. So by default, none of these are selected, but I've found that these are typically worthless. I don't want to show any ads on people watching a live streaming YouTube video because they're usually typically very engaged, has a very low ROI for ad clicks off of those. The same thing for embedded YouTube videos. Think about it. Embedded YouTube videos are usually on, some other blog website. It even could just be, bots and that sort of thing that are getting the impressions, and I don't even want that. Parked domains, that's just a domain that is completely blank, has nothing on it, but potentially could have your ad on it. Like, we don't want that. And then in video, just another one that I see very low ROI on. So those are the key ones that I like to take off. Now you could say like, oh, I don't want to put it on sexually suggestive material, but sometimes, they don't always get it right. So what we consider that versus someone else, you'll have to decide for yourself if that makes sense to you. I think there's more to lose than to gain in selecting these. So that's why I just stick with the ones that I know have not produced results in the past. IP exclusions, there's not a whole lot you'll be able to do here. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Essentially, it's a way to prevent click fraud and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't want to get too in the weeds with all that now, just due to our limited time. All right, so let me show one other thing here. Okay, so this is a very key component of your targeting. So you'll see this in the checklist as well. When you're setting up your targeting of people that you're going to go after, and in this case, remember we created that audience, or we were creating the dummy audience of 30 days, and I changed it to 7 days. This is the 90-day one that we already created for this campaign, for this ad group. Now, Google by default will try to get you to use optimized targeting. In some business practices, this is fine. However, for remarketing, I hate it, because what is it doing? It's asking you permission to allow Google's algorithm to go out and find customers similar to your audience size. Well, that makes no sense for remarketing. We're going to find someone who's similar to a guy who landed on my website but didn't land on my website. Absolutely not. That is a very big disconnect, and you will spend your budget out of whack, and you'll be targeting people who never actually landed on your website, and you'll think that you have been the whole time. So turn that off 100%. You don't want that. All right, and let's see what else we have here. All right, so I want to go into the actual ad itself. So this is inside of a Google display network ad that you would create. You don't have to pay too much attention to all of this stuff here. This is good only because I didn't use a video, and I don't like using video on GDN. If I'm going to use video in a marketing campaign, I like it best to be served up in YouTube directly, and that's a whole different type of campaign anyway. So from top to bottom, the URL. All right, guys, think about this. They landed on your website, and they may have browsed some of your services. They may have only visited the homepage. When you retarget them, so they've left, they forgot about you. The next day, they see an ad for you. They click on it. You want to make sure that that experience is a little unique, because something on the first go round, didn't allow them to convert. They didn't call. They didn't submit a web form. Why not? So you want to show them something a little bit different. It could be some, heavily based on testimonials and reviews of your customers, highlighting reviews. But one thing for sure is you want to make it very easy and clear how to contact you. Phone number right above the fold. Above the fold, guys, just means before you start scrolling. All right, so we want to make 100% certain that you have that set up and ready to go. Let's see, what else? What else on the landing page? You want to make sure that that landing page is working, right? I've seen people who have landing pages and the phone number didn't work, or the form submission went, is broken. So all of those things, I mean, they seem pretty rudimentary and obvious, but just check them. And let's see. All right, now in terms of the images themselves, I'll come over here and just click the edit button and show you how this works. It's pretty intuitive. Basically, you can put in the URL here of your business or a particular page of your website and hit scan. So let me just do the home page here. And Google will try to pull all the good images out of there that it can. You'll be able to do the same thing for any social properties that they find. Could be a Facebook page. So for example, they have their Facebook page here we can scan, their Instagram. So these are all great. You'll be selecting a series of images and logos. So you can see here we have a logo image, which is more of a square. We have, regular images, which is more of a horizontal image. So you want to max out as many of these as possible, or add as good images as possible that you do have. And the beauty of GDN that I love is they mix and match. So take a look at this. They just dynamically swap out images with, of course, now it's not swapping a whole lot of them out. Let me see if I can go to the mobile version. But they'll mix and match images with text, and they'll try different formats out, different sizes out. And then you'll be able to review that later on and see, okay, these images are performing well, these are not, and that sort of thing. All right, so we've got the images and the logos. The next thing you want to do are the headlines. You want to use all 5 headlines. In the headlines, I like to put absolutely the name of the moving company somewhere in here because, again, this is more of a branded retargeting, remarketing campaign. They kind of know who you are because they've been on your website at least once already. So you definitely want to put your name in there at least on one line. The other ones would be highlighting some features or some key components of your business. Some other great examples would be, AAA rated BBB, things like that, 5-star, whatever it may be. Obviously, don't lie here because they'll be able to go to your website and see that. But these are the things you want to put there. Maybe put one in here with a call to action, like free quote or call now. The long headline gets used occasionally in certain cases. And you have to think, guys, these ads are served up all across the web based on, the Google Partner Network, which is massive. They're everywhere. So there are certain websites which allow certain formats, and some websites don't allow others. So you want to try to make sure we can capitalize on all the different formats. So for the long headline, you get 90 characters to play with. So you'll use definitely the name of the business, a call to action, and a feature. All right, so you can see here we have infinite moving, call for best deal, 5-star reviews. Descriptions. All I do for descriptions, I keep it really simple. I just go into Google My Business or Facebook, wherever they have reviews, and I take out as close to 90 characters as possible, and I put them in here. You get up to 5 descriptions. Definitely want to max those out. And, grab a snippet that speaks very highly of that business, of your business, because that is going to draw attention to it. Business name, obviously, to put there. For additional format options, I just leave all those as default. Add URL options, you don't need to mess with that. Under more options, you have 2 options here. By default, they are off. The first one you want to make sure you have is call to action. And I like to use get quote because essentially that's what's happening here. We're retargeting them. We don't want to beat around and figure out, what are we trying to do here? We want to make sure that they get a quote, okay? So there's that. And then you want to select custom colors. They don't get used very often, but when they do, it just is another way to differentiate your ad from others, all right? So I know I kind of went through that pretty quickly, but like I said, the checklist encompasses a lot of this. We have, a short period of time for this call today, but if you go over those, and especially the things that I really highlighted there, you'll have a lot better results on your ad campaign. So with that, I'm going to ask Matt if he could come on and look at search campaigns. So I talked about the importance of, why we want to remarket. It's because we don't want to waste dollars on our search campaigns. So I want to let Matt show, a few key components to make sure you're doing right with your discovery-based search campaigns where, I don't know everyone's level on this call, but I'm just going to pretend that no one knows anything just for the sake of, skipping over something. So essentially Google Ads you see them at the top, it has the little ad icon next to it. That is what we are talking about when we talk about search ads. Okay. So Matt, I'll stop sharing my screen here and allow you to
awesome, bro.
Take it.
So real quick, so what Dan was describing is very advanced, but it's really important. So even if your eyes glazed over, I would get that checklist because I've handed Dan countless turd sandwiches that he was able to sift through the gold and get really high quality traffic and leads, right? To get more book jobs. This is why you're doing it. Remarketing is the best thing you possibly can do. However, you have to get traffic on the front end. So I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm super excited. You guys are going to love this. I'm going to nerd out. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. So right now I'm on a client's Google Ads dashboard. And what you're going to see is I'm going to show you an example of a campaign. So we're going to go to campaigns, and I already have this pre-selected. So this is a local campaign. They do primarily local news, right? This is infinite moving. And what I want you to see is just how targeted this is. So just like Dan was saying, when you create a campaign, you can select the location. So you're probably going to want to target a city. And what I would say is if you have time or you have somebody managing this, you want to go into the suburbs. You don't want to just say, Orlando or Seattle or New York, right? Like you want to go where other people are not willing to go if you have time to do it, right? So you want to create multiple campaigns because the lazy way to do it by default is a pin drop. You don't want to do that. And the next thing is you're going to want to create quality keywords, right? Or ones that make sense. So at MoversBoost, we have access, to over 100 clients' information. We know what works and what doesn't. We know you're not going to literally pick up somebody's house. I might be able to do it. No, you're not going to pick up somebody's house and move it, right? So we have people, hey, man, I had an expert. They thought we picked up the house and moved it. No, we're not doing that, So movers near me, moving company near me, stuff like that. Movers location are really good. And after you have those exact keywords set up, you're going to want to run laser targeted ads. So everything by default going forward, I believe, is a responsive ad. A responsive ad just means if the screen is, 2 inches big or 200 inches big, I'm sitting in front of 6 monitors right now. It does its best to display it properly. So that's really important to get in here and just start nerding out and maxing out the headlines, right? So here you can see here that everything is excellent. We work off of a checklist at MoversBoost, right? So what I'm going over right now, you could 100% do this on your own. You can create a campaign, switch it off novice mode, go to expert mode, and then start writing headlines. So things like this. Location, local movers location, friendly local movers nearby, blah, 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 blah. They allow up to 15 and they allow 30 characters as of now. They're always moving the goalposts. We stay on top of it. You should too, if it's your money. We also max out the descriptions. This is important because somebody's, the person who's next to you is not willing to do this. They have what? 1 headline, 2 headlines. You have 15, right? They have 1 description. You have 4. It just lets Google mix and match, and they're $1 trillion algorithm. We're not smarter than them. We just force feed them as much stuff as they could use, and they're going to use all of it. So that is a huge win to do it like that. And again, when you're running Google Ads and SEO and maps and all this, it's really 3 sides of the same coin. You have Google Maps, which rules the roost in organic. You have the results below Google Maps, which is Google Organic, and then you have Google Ads, right? So it's all the same thing. As long as you can get a targeted click at a discount, if you get very specific, then you have a really good result. So here's another example. So if somebody were to search jacuzzi moving company, spa movers near me, hot tub moving companies, not a lot of people move hot tubs, I get it, but they do. The same principle for anything, gun safes, putting Liberty gun safe movers in there, right? In one of the keywords, just getting extremely, extremely specific. The more specific you can get, the better. So imagine you just searched hot tub movers near me. You lived in Davenport and you saw an ad that said Davenport hot tub movers. Holy shit, my head just exploded 200%, right? So you're going to obviously want to click that ad. And then instead of just going to a generic catch-all page that says, get a moving quote, this is a page with a jacuzzi in the background, strong calls to action at the top. You could be a 90-year-old great grandma, or you could be, I was gonna say millennial trash, but I'm in that group too. I'm fine with it, right? You know, could be a younger generation. We want to just have strong calls to action, right, on here. So you have the call at the top and an interactive form for our clients is what we use, as well as some shiny stuff to click on, right? Use your imagination. Video works the best. Think about it. How much more video do you watch than you read? For good or bad, we all love video. So right at the top. But anyway, the point is to have a targeted keyword phrase to a very targeted landing page based on ads that say exactly what you just searched, right? It's really, when you break it down like that and make it super simple, it is not that complicated. It just takes time to set it up. And one of the things I would make sure that you take a note of is the fact of negative keywords. So negative keywords are very important. Remember, we learned this lesson years ago when somebody's kind of, hey man, someone thinks we're moving their shed. You know, they think they're physically picking up my entire house, right? We learned our lesson a long time ago, MoversBoost, you know, so just stay on top of it. You know, if you're not doing international moves, we always see that slipping in there too, where people put move from Florida to the United Kingdom. I noticed that was a popular one, right? So you always have to come in here and just add new negative keywords. You know, you don't want people with house moving, things like that. Again, competitors' names too. Maybe you put in all the national big boys in here, 2 Men in a Truck, All My Sons, Get Bellhops if they're in your area, et cetera, right? College Hunks, all those guys. So you want to just make sure that you're not bidding on competitors or stuff. And this brings me into the next point is we really don't want to waste your ad budget too, you know, and I'll go over that if there's some other questions later. I know I'm kind of rambling on, but again, you want to match up the campaign to the exact location, to an exact landing page. Local movers, long distance movers, gun safe movers, piano movers, senior assisted moving. You know, we have a furniture movers. We have a great list at MoversBoost. Just use your imagination if you're going to DIY it and just stay on top of it, and you will have success. But if you take away anything from this is the easy thing to do. This just takes time. The other one takes more expertise. Again, get that checklist. If you remarket, you will 100% get more moving jobs from this.
That's awesome, Matt. No, I just wanted to quickly chime in. I think the point you made about the negative keywords, particularly about competitors, is super important because, I mean, we get a lot of clients and then they think, oh, I want to bid on my competitors' keywords or their name. And you have to, it's very difficult to convert on those. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but unless you're prepared to spend a lot of money, it's just very low ROI. Because what are those searches typically? If someone's searching for 2 Men in a Truck, they're just doing a lazy search. They're clicking on the, you know, whatever's the first result. If they clicked on yours, it's an accident, typically.
Yeah. And worse, Dan, hey, when is my furniture getting here? You know what I mean? Like they think they're calling for customer support, which is god awful. Now your customer support for Bob's Movers, you know, your competitor down the street. So just beware of that. Cheap, Craigslist, all that stuff. You know, try to filter out whatever you can on your end.
Exactly. No, I mean, when you get right down to it, it is fairly simple in terms of what you think the experience should be from the user's standpoint. The landing page should be what they searched for. That is almost never the case in the service industry because it takes an enormous amount of time to create the pages and the content, you know, like we do at MoversBoost. But, you know, when you do it and you have someone search for, like you said, what was this example, hot tub moving or jacuzzi moving, right? And they land on that page, you know, probably going to opt in there and go through the process.
Yeah, definitely. He's killing it right now.
That's great. So yeah, guys, I know we went a little fast there. So we do have that checklist that we'll be giving out. I guess I can give that link. Claire, should I give that link?
Yep. If you hand it over to me, and I'll make sure everybody on the call are registered for this get set. That was super awesome. I learned a lot. I thought that was really informative. So thank you both so much. We're over time, but we can stay on a little bit longer if that works for you guys.
Yeah, we're happy to stay on and
answer extensions either.
Perfect. So we had a couple of questions come in. So the first person asked, what do you suggest image-wise for retargeting, branded imagery or people moving?
Yes. When I went over the campaign, you definitely want to use both of those because the Google Display Network remarketing ads, it's a combination of brand and capturing attention. So let the algorithm rotate those ads and mix and match them up the way they do. So you're going to have a combination of branded logos and people moving, right? Show what you do. Show the people in your business actually moving. That's great. One thing that you really want to make sure of, though, is that they're high resolution, high quality images. Otherwise, Google won't, they'll just reject them now. They've recently really cracked down on that in the last couple of weeks or so, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, awesome. And somebody else asked, do you guys only use exact keywords?
It's a great question. So I like to, but I know Dan has more experience using broad match also to get when he starts tracking conversions. But again, if you're doing volume and you know what keywords are the best, if you have access to that, again, this is what we do. We literally are just going in there through a template and we're making sure that we're matching up exact keywords to exact cities, to exact landing pages.
Got it.
And even still, you will see your budget being wasted because
I would
say variant, close enough, basically.
Yeah. And not so much broad, though, as broad modified. Broad is it gives Google a little too much power to completely change around the keyword. Broad modified just means use plus signs before each keyword, and that allows the order to be changed, but it must be those terms, which can actually highlight some new opportunities for you that you may not have otherwise seen. Once we see keywords that are producing results and search terms that are getting it done, we'll make those exact, if we didn't have it there already. But yeah, a combination of phrase, broad modified, and exact. Definitely you need to have the negative keywords list if you go beyond exact. But it can be very beneficial.
Okay, awesome. So somebody else asked, they said they used to run ads, but they found that their competitors were the ones mostly clicking on them and spending on the budget. Is there any way around it?
That's a good question.
Back. So this is not our software, Claire, but this is called ClickSees.
Got it.
Which is a really good software. And out of the box, it's good, but its real power comes because we're able to crowdsource our entire network of clients.
Okay,
so
cool.
If there's fraud over in one city, it auto blocks it for every one else of our clients. And it starts to add up really quickly. It just gets better. Look how much fraud was saved for this one client in 30 days.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. People will start their day with a click. They'll make themselves a sandwich, click on your ad, and they'll brush their teeth, say their prayers, click on your ad. It's really bad. Like it's a horror movie by the time you realize how much. I think it's like 1 out of every 4 clicks is fraud.
I've actually seen people on some of the micro worker sites creating campaigns asking people to click on competitors' ads.
Yeah,
wow.
So that stuff is going on out there.
Okay, and then this is ClickSees. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Super helpful. Awesome. So we had a couple more questions. So somebody was asking, why are the clicks so expensive? I spent $25 on one click.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what Dan was saying about manual CPC, because when you have it set for manual, you can, essentially take the training wheels off and just say, I'm not willing to pay more than this per click.
Right.
And it all works together, right, Claire? So if you only have a campaign running for, let's just say, Orlando, right, and you don't have all those suburbs, you have to get that click right then and there or you're screwed. Right. However, when you branch off and you have volume, you can get those little nuanced clicks that are still quality, still targeted at a very steep discount.
Got it.
So yeah, it's really important. You can't do both. There's no way you're going to target just one city and just say, well, I'm not paying more than $2. Like, no, you're screwed. Like you have to build out multiple campaigns. And then I've gotten the same exact clicks down from $10 all the way down to $1. It's the same exact click. Google just, by costing it down every day by even 5 cents, you're training Google's algorithm to allow your ad to still show up and get the click.
Yeah. So some of this is just kind of the long game. Like it just takes time to.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the last question that came through, how do you know if Google ads are actually working and getting results?
Oh yeah, that is definitely very important. Let me share my screen real quick. Pull up what I talked about earlier with CallRail. So this is a software, not our software, but it's a call tracking software that actually tracks form submissions as well.
Oh, cool.
So I just filtered out here from the main tracking number that we use, and you can see it breaks it down by Google Ads, organic. You can add filters for all of these things. So when you see keywords here, look, this guy was searching for Kissimmee apartment movers, and you can play the call, you can listen to it. So, and we synchronize this with Google Ads so that it shows conversions that match. But to us, this is very clear results to show our clients. Imagine you are this guy and you can see, oh, wow, look, here's someone who was looking for a piano moving company near me. Here it pulls up the name actually as well, and the call is for 1 minute and 33 seconds. So something probably came of that. Here's another one for Kissimmee apartment movers, 1 minute 28 seconds. Right? They're not all going to be gold, but this is a very clear way to see I spent money on a Google ad, and here are the leads I got for this month. And,
that's awesome.
Here's 26 calls in the last 30 days. Here.
Okay.
So CallRail, guys.
What was the software called?
CallRail.
CallRail. Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
we include it when we set up all of our clients, inclusive of our fee, but. Yeah, if you're going to do it on your own, I still highly recommend that software. Yeah,
that looks like it'd be super useful for sure. Okay, awesome. I think that's everything we've had come in, and we're a little bit over, so we'll end it there. But thank you guys so much. Super useful. Everybody that signed up for this will get a copy of the recording, and I appreciate it. I really enjoyed that. I'm sure everybody else did too.
My pleasure. Just for the people who maybe didn't see the chat, the checklist, guys, is moversboost.com/onqueue.
Perfect. We'll include that in the email to everybody as well, so everybody will get a copy of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having us on, Claire.
You're very welcome. Talk soon. Bye, guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.